After receiving your USA Hive kit, you'll want to carefully cut the tape at the top without cutting into the hive materials inside of the box. You'll see an instructions pamphlet, and the top of the hive is at the top of the box. You also find the base of the hive, and then the plastic connectors and the plastic rails, and then the hive components. You'll want to go through the box and make sure that everything is in there before you start assembling things. So the last thing you want to do is get halfway assembled and find out that you're missing a part. So just compare the pieces to what is in the checklist and the instruction pamphlet. So now that we have all the parts, let's move on to the assembly. I'm going to show you how to assemble one of the hive bodies. You start by sliding the long rails onto the body panels. So the longest rail goes on the longest body panel, and there are also short rails that'll fit on the short panels. And the top panel has an L-shaped rail. The bottom panel has a flatter rail, and I'll show those to you later in the video, but you don't want to get them confused. In this video, I actually put the top rail on both the top and the bottom of this panel, and I'll have to go back and fix that later. Then you can separate your connectors. And attach them onto the panel, the body panel. And again, there are two different types of connectors. One is has more of an L shape to it. It has a raised edge, and one is more shallow. The raised edge corner goes on the top of the panel, and the more shallow corner goes on the bottom of the panel. So here I got a little confused, and I had to go back and fix the corners. But there's definitely a difference between the top components and the components that go on the bottom of each body panel. So now that I've got that straightened out, we can finish attaching the connectors onto the body panel, and that'll form our base. Once you have everything attached, you want to use wood glue to glue along the edge and in the joints. I'm using a Titebond 3 type glue. This is a PVA2 glue. It's waterproof or water resistant, and will give you a long life to the hive. Before you start gluing everything, it's a good idea to dry fit everything to make sure you know which panel is going to go where before you apply glue to it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just dry fitting everything together to make sure I have the right panels, the right parts, and that I know kind of orientation of how everything is going to go. And here I was rechecking the corner pieces because something seemed off, and it's because I have that the wrong rail on the bottom, and I couldn't quite figure it out at this point. So now that everything is assembled, as far as the plastic railing, you can go ahead and apply your wood glue. And attach your end panel. And apply more wood glue and attach your other end panel. And it doesn't take much pressure to push these in. The joints are easy to work with. Just hand pressure is all it takes to push them in. You don't need to hammer them or anything like that. Now I'm going to take the back panel, which is the other long piece, and I'm going to apply glue to it before placing it onto the other part of the assembly. And you'll notice when you apply pressure and you squeeze everything together that the glue will come out, a little bit of the glue will come out of the seams. And that's all right. You can just wipe off the excess glue to keep everything clean. I was just using my fingers to wipe off the excess glue, but it would be a good idea to have a damp cloth or a paper towel, something with a little bit of water in it to really clean off the excess glue. Now notice that we only have railing on the long panels. You want to not have any of the railing on the end panels, because you'll need to insert screws and screw into the end panels. Here I'm taking off the excess glue. And now we're going to find the screws that we need to use to screw into the top and bottom of the box. These are the plastic bag containing the screws will say Hive Body on it. They're longer screws, and there's 24 screws in the package. So that's 8 screws per hive body. And I just use a Phillips head, regular Phillips head screwdriver to drive in those screws. You can use an electric screw gun or screwdriver, but I like to use a regular Phillips head so that I don't over tighten the screws and strip out the polystyrene. So it takes a little more time, but it's going to ensure that you have a good a good solid hive body without stripping out any of the screws. So the trick is to screw the screws into the end panels before you put on the railing. And I'll show you how the railing goes on. It's not very intuitive, but the railing kind of pops on from the front and the back once you've installed the screws. So that's 4 screws, and then there are 4 more to go on the other side of the hive body. Again, as you're working, more glue will work its way out, and I'm just cleaning up that excess glue. And these hive body screws are the longest screws, so it does take some time to screw them in, but you want to remember that this hive body is going to last you about 25 years, so you want to take your time and do everything right, assembling it the first time. Alright, so 1 more screw to go, and then we can put the rails on the end pieces. Remember that these rails don't need to be painted, they have a UV protectant in the plastic, so there's no need to paint the rails. here I'm just installing the rails. I think I hadn't realized that there were two different types of rails at this point. So the rails go on just by putting the front piece, the face of the end panel first, and then you rotate the rail back towards the back of the end panel, and it just kind of snaps in place. It takes a little bit of lining up and getting everything situated correctly for it to snap in place, but it should be fairly simple. If you shouldn't have to really force it too much. Now here I think I realized that I had the wrong rail on the other side, and I'm using the flatter rail, which is correct for the bottom. Remember, the bottom of the hive body is going to have the flatter pieces, and the top of the hive body has the more L-shaped pieces. Alright, so here I'm showing the two different profiles of the pieces, the flatter and the L-shaped piece, and I finally realized that I was using the wrong railing here. So now I'm going back and replacing that with the flatter piece, which should go on the bottom of the hive body. And once you have the right pieces and the right parts in the right places, everything will go together a lot easier than when you're trying to figure out which part goes where. So just remember, the flat pieces go on the bottom, the L-shaped pieces go on the top, and start by inserting the front face of the rail into the front of the end piece, and then work the rail down along the hive body until it snaps into place on the back of the end piece. And finally, we have an assembled hive. It's ready to go. That's the HiveIQ. Thanks for watching.